This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 58. Warning, resist the urge to make quick and emotional business decisions. Are you a real estate agent with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan to help you get there? Well, then, hey, you are definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. And to help you take immediate action to build a better real estate agent business, I've created a free jumpstart course for you over at freeagentgift.com. It's good for all the rookies especially, but all you veterans, humor me. Get over there, reset yourself, think about this business strategically, and I promise you, like the mastermind members I help guide each week, your business will improve. All right. In this episode, I want to get fired up here about this warning because as a coach and as somebody that gets reached out to a lot by people thinking about these big decisions, I want you to resist the urge to make any major decision, especially in a quick and emotional way. All right. Resist the urge to make quick and emotional business decisions. And that starts off with, what brokerage should I jump to next? And I'm going to use that word because that's what it sounds like to me. When somebody all of a sudden makes a decision that the brokerage isn't providing them what they need to grow a business, they hear that all these other people are running off to this brokerage and that's where they're going to go. And they offer this and they offer that. And that's great for me. How? How is that great for you? I mean, the first thing that I ask people is, before you make any macro decision like that, first of all, identify what is it that you don't have that's preventing you from growing. And is that brokerage that's luring you in? And there's always that sizzle on the steak in this business. There's always the new company that offers this little thing that's really sizzly. And I just don't hear anybody talking about how that makes your business grow. I don't hear any these brokerages talking about how you're going to improve the life of the seller or the buyer. Maybe they dabble in it, but it's so much sizzle and all the crackling, you can't hear through it. And nobody's challenging the question themselves. How will this help my independent business grow? So you see, it's not just a matter of this race to the bottom with, oh, well, I only have to pay X. Well, great. When you only have to pay X, the brokerage can only offer you Y. And that means now you have to go pay for a lot of things you might not have had to pay for or deal with at another brokerage. I don't know what's important to each of you individually, but if you don't sit down and make a list of the things that you believe, and then more importantly, bring that to somebody who will give you a contrarian opinion so you don't get locked into this law of corroboration, which means what? You make a decision that everybody's running over there and you better get over there before it's all gone and it's all eaten up, right? Sort of like the stock market. Everybody can't wait to get into this gambling parlor when things are rolling up and then everybody's scratching their head going, what happened to my 401k? See, all these impetuous business decisions are based in emotion that we believe that fix. I know a lot of you are not going to admit this to yourselves or me for that matter. You're going to say, well, I didn't make it emotionally. I know, right? Because none of us are emotional beings. None of us can get easily hooked by some sizzle on the steak. We all can. That's what makes us human. We're emotional and there are triggers. Beware of the trigger. Take a breath. It still might be right for you. To jump to that brokerage might be right. You might be in a bad situation where there's not enough value being provided. Something's negative. I get that, and that's important. But you really won't know until you take a beat that's intelligent. How do you do that? You sit down, you get a pen or a pencil and a yellow legal pad, and you go from your brain to the left-hand column for the brokerage you're at, the one you're thinking about jumping to, and you really think about the pros and cons. Then you go get somebody like me or your coach or your partner or whomever it is, and you give contrarian opinions to think through this thing thoroughly. Then you make that decision. The next point here is you're going to jump on this team. I've heard this a lot lately. And I have to bite my tongue a lot of the times. It's like kids. You have to let people go running headlong into the cement wall before you can really give them what they needed, which was the advice they weren't going to listen to anyway. Oh, this person I know for so long is building this team and I'm going to jump on it. By the way, I'm not picking on anybody. I know somebody's going to listen to this and say, oh, you were talking about me. I'm talking about a lot of people. I hear this one all the time. Remember, I was birthed into this business and taught this team model. I thought it was a brokerage model. Man, was I wrong. Okay. So I think you really have to understand what a team is. What are you doing? I see a lot of people tying their rafts together in the middle of the ocean because it's not working for either of them. And guess what they just did? They split the rations in half. And now if one person's paddling harder than the other person, there's cannibalism. So that's ugly. Then there's the offer of, we're going to provide you with all your business. Don't you worry. We're going to give it to you. Well, that's super expensive. And what happens when the cheese moves and the consumer doesn't behave that way and you can't quite even keep up with the top producers? Now there's grumbling in the ship. So you better be careful when you start to talk about teams, and you better thoroughly understand it. Again, write down the benefits of doing it on your own and versus a team in conjunction with this brokerage that offers or doesn't offer help. So again, these are all just basic logical things that we should be doing, and you should write them down. And then again, I'm going to repeat on this point about teams. Get a contrarian opinion. What do you think could go wrong if I do this versus doing it myself? What do you think would be difficult being alone? They're fair questions. Ask them. The next point here is, I see this a lot. A lot of top producers especially think that some website is going to be their next savior. So they jump on this platform because the leads are coming in like, crazy. Well, hold on. Guess what happened there too? The consumer got burnt out with all this lead generation because all the cattle, that's us, by the way, all the cattle ran off to IDX Solutions, and we couldn't wait to just run more Google ads, more Facebook ads, until all we were beginning to collect was this mass amount of people who were opting in just simply because they were curious or they like looking at real estate online. And how in the world, without a conversion process, do you even go in and figure out where the real stuff is? I'm not saying there's not people still making money on an IDX solution. There are. But most of those people don't overwhelm themselves with a whole bunch of whimsical inquiries, and they have a systematic approach for conversion, for identifying the people that are more real, and they move off of the ones that aren't. But is that really a website solution? I mean, when I think about my own business, I started off at a brokerage at Realty Executives. It was bricks and mortar. Okay. And we were a convenient location so people could stop by, meaning that physical building mattered. That location mattered. Well, you flash forward today and all of a sudden your website is really the first encounter when they really want to vet you or they're curious about your business. That is the business storefront. So if you are arriving at somebody's website and you want to vet them or you want to just do a little research on them, right? Forget about social stalking. What about just going right to the mothership? And they see this old flunky two-dimensional website that barely tells them anything about you, and it looks like you haven't touched it in 8 years since the beginning of this phenomenon, you have a problem there. So see, lead capture is only a very small, yes, it's a small part of this overall business strategy. What do you look like online? Are you leveraging today's technologies, whether they be websites or robots? Look, I got so frustrated with this whole premise that I actually ended up starting a website company. So my brokerage website company is something that I started because I was going bananas saying, my gosh, I can't sit around waiting for somebody to understand that we need some IDX. We need some home evaluation. We need to display properties beautifully. We need to feature our listings better than the others and be able to socially share them. My goodness, that's a whole department store if you think about it. So web technology ends up being much more sophisticated. A lot of top producers sort of scratch their head when I first introduce this to them, and they go there and I say, okay, show me where I can really learn something about you. Is there a video talking about you? Can I see your featured listings? Like if I'm going to give you my $2 million listing, my $400,000 listing, is it featured somewhere? How do I know? Once you get that, how do you drive social traffic back to it? So there are all practical questions that we need to be asking about our website. So certainly if you're an agent, going back to the brokerage thing, is there any offer to help with that? Oh, wait, you couldn't wait to jump to that one because there was a higher split. You were going to keep so much more money. Oh, scratch your head. Now you have to go out and start to build all these things yourself. Aha. You should have thought about that, right? I'm trying to disturb the peace here a little bit in thinking. I'm not saying there's a right or a wrong for you. I don't know you. I'm not giving guidance to somebody specifically. I'm saying in general, I want to provoke this thought. Okay. What does the brokerage really offer you, including a self-facing website? Do you get a page? Do you get a whole website? What does it look like? Do they teach you how to get traffic to that website so you're vetted properly? Do they coordinate it with social? All those things are strategic questions. Key word here today, strategic questions. Okay. Now, the next question is that before you made all of these decisions about brokerage, team, website, did you ever really ask yourself the question, what strategy, if you're new, what strategy am I going to follow when I get in this business? Did you ever take pause to ask yourself, what strategy am I following? And is it getting me what I want? So many top producers are obsessed with telling me what their GCI is. And the minute I ask them, well, how's that look on your income statement? Are you netting a lot of money, or is it very expensive to achieve that? Huh? You have a lot of these people too that you're giving up 50%, like a lot of these teams that are promising they're at a brokerage and then they become a team and then they get a team member. Is there any money left at the end of that for anybody after all expenses? Pretty good strategic question, isn't it? So why are we in such a hurry to make so many impetuous decisions here? Why are we not thinking through this? It's an important question. And that's the problem, I think, with the industry in general, is that we teach a lot of the tactical and legal and ethical things, which are absolutely core and important. But where is this discussion about strategic thinking? Right? We have to stop acting like this pack of wildebeest that just moves itself along only to walk through the alligators and get eaten because we didn't think about a better strategy. Stop. Take a breath. Think. And I'm going to repeat this. One of the best things that I've ever learned along the way, and I think I want to give credit to Brian Tracy. I can't remember in his book Goals, but it was the act. Yeah, I'm almost positive that's it. It was the act of thinking like this. Getting the thought out of my brain, through my arm, through a pen or pencil, and onto a legal pad to write down these thoughts, flip the page without looking at it, write them again so that the order of things of importance for this strategic approach were bubbling up. Now, again, I'm here to help you with strategy. You hear me if you listen to this podcast regularly, if it's the first time. freeagentgift.com is a framework for just going in there and looking at a couple of beats in this business that we all have to go through as agents or agencies. It begins the process of thinking strategically, and it matters. Sit still, take the course, go through it, give me feedback. I'll make it better and deeper if it needs to be. But the point is, it needs to provoke you all. New, veteran, broker, owner, doesn't matter. You have to be provoked into thinking strategically, okay? I know you might blow me off on this thing because we don't roll out of bed going, you know what, I can't wait to manage the heck out of my business this morning. When I get up, I'm going to manage. I get it. We don't think like that. We think, what did we sell today? Is anybody ready to buy or sell? I just need money, Danny. So what are you talking about? You will not get it. You will not get more. You will not grow without being strategic. And that leads to the last point here. When you have a strategy, it doesn't mean that it's right from the start. It's 10 times harder to grow an independent business than ever before, because everything is so fluid and moving. Thanks to Grant Cardone with his book 10X, I'm listening to it to disturb my own peace. I get the 10X goal setting because it stimulates a different kind of resourcefulness in the subconscious. If you 10X your goal, you start to tap into resources you had no idea were there, and it really grows. But more importantly, his point about it's also 10 times harder to do this than everybody thinks. I mean, you think about all the small business failure rate. It's way higher than they state, okay? It's way higher, okay? And that's because most people never really sit still to start off and ask themselves, will I be able to discipline myself to think strategically and do what? Make adjustments. You'll forever be making adjustments. Everything goes wrong in one way or the other and needs an adjustment. We can talk about this on this podcast and be strategic and have great ideas that I chunk up from my mastermind group and give away to you here. But our consumer is waiting for us. And when we bring these strategies to the consumer, they will either say yes on a regular basis or no. And when you hear a lot of no's, you have to listen. You can't stick into one strategy and not question it. You have to listen and make your adjustments, okay? So that's my final point here, is that when you're being strategic, you get engaged in this process of making these adjustments, and the strategy improves and it grows. but you better roll up your sleeves, put your overalls on, because it's 10 times harder than you think it is. But it's fun once you engage it correctly. All right. So let's review these bullet points here, right? Number 1 was the warning: resist the urge to make quick and emotional business decisions, which starts with, don't just jump to another brokerage. Think through the benefits and the leverage in the relationship you will have with that. Also, don't just jump onto a team in one form or fashion, whether it's tying the rafts together or jumping on a team, because by the end of the time that the pie is all cut up, I'm not so quite sure there was leverage for you or the team leader. Next, what website will be your savior? None of them. They have to be a complete part of your strategy, and they have to cover a lot these days when people either vet you or they need more from you. The next question to help you clear up all of this will be, always ask yourself, what strategy am I following when I'm making this decision? And ultimately, what adjustments am I making to that strategy once I get going? To summarize this key point, stop making business decisions that are complete course corrections, believing that's a smart solution to growing your real estate business. It never is. And remember, you can take immediate action and get started in the right direction with our free video course. I said it again, freeagentgift.com. Then we go further with you. We also broadcast our live sales training calls on Facebook and YouTube every Friday at 1 p.m. EDT. And that's where you can hear me making consumer adjustments. In other words, we hear what the consumer said. We ask if the strategic approach in the phone was right or face-to-face, and we adjust. So remember, turn on those page notifications, those channel notifications, so that you won't miss any of the reminders. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so that you don't miss out on any insights each time we upload an episode. By the way, wink, wink. I take the audio from those sales calls, and I've made those a podcast. You can listen to those too. We also appreciate it if you would share our content with other entrepreneurial real estate agents just like you, so that they get the help that they need. Sharing is caring, and we'd appreciate if you do it. Hey, thanks for listening. And remember, nobody's coming for you. So go get to work on your business. We'll see you the next time.